بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على نبينا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. So far we have spoken about his patience alayhi salatu wassalam, his generosity, his humbleness, his asceticism, his perseverance and grit, and his humor sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This week I'm going to make a little bit of a shift in what I'm going to be talking about regarding him alayhi salatu wassalam, and talk about how he did things. Then we'll go back to his attributes the week after. Today we're going to talk about how he spoke and how he moved alayhi salatu wassalam. I don't think anyone in history has been as well described as the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. People, you'll see, the fascinating piece for me is how they described every aspect of his life alayhi salatu wassalam. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ لِعِبَادِي يَقُولُ الَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ يَنزَغُ بَيْنَهُم. Tell my servants to say that which is best. وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا. And the servants of God who walk on the earth with humbleness. The Quran tells us how to speak and it describes for us how to move. The Prophet ﷺ will say, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyaqul khayran aw liyasmut." If you believe in Allah and the hereafter, then say good things or be quiet. He would say ﷺ, "La yastaqimu إيمان عبد حتى يستقيم قلبه ولا يستقيم قلبه حتى يستقيم لسانه." And the iman of a person will not be perfected until his heart becomes uncorruptible. And that doesn't happen until his tongue does. Abu Hurairah describes him in the Sahihain of the Prophet, and he says about the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, لم يكن رسول الله سبابا ولا فحاشا ولا طعانا ولا لعانا ربما قال لأحدنا عند المعتبة ترب جبينه أو قال مازحا ثكيلتك أمك. The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام did not curse, he did not use profanity, he did not use obscenity. عليه الصلاة والسلام would never speak about people behind their back. He did not yell, he did not scream, he didn't raise his voice when he spoke to people, عليه الصلاة والسلام. And maybe if he was joking with somebody or he was trying to poke at them, he would say, تَرِبَ جَبِينُهُ, meaning may your forehead hit the turab. It's referring to someone being humiliated or making sujood, either way. رُبَّمَا قَالَ ثَكِلَتْكَ أُمُّكَ. ثَكِلَتْكَ أُمُّكَ, may you die, as everyone will. So, as he said, عليه الصلاة والسلام. قُلُ عائشة كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتحدث بالحديث لو عده العاد لأحصاه. عليه الصلاة والسلام, she said, if he would speak, if he would say things that the person beside him, if he was counting the words, he could count them. لو عده العاد لأحصاه, meaning when he spoke, he didn't speak much عليه الصلاة والسلام. He spoke so little that you could count the number of words that he's saying on your fingers. يقول في حديث آخر, another hadith عند الترمذي, يقول ما كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يسرد كسردكم هذا ولكنه كان يتكلم بكلام بين فصل يحفظه من جلس إليه. You say the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام would not go on and on as you go on and on. You keep on talking and talking and talking. Rather, he would speak and he would say things بين فصل, with clarity, with purposed, just as much as only what you would need to hear from him alayhi salatu wasallam. It wouldn't go beyond what was required in terms of what you would say. He would say things that the person sitting to him, someone coming to sit with him, could memorize what he had to say, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And of course, that's very important. Had he not spoken that way, we would have had nothing. If he did something similar to what I do, no one would memorize anything. Because there's too much, there's no point. So people would just let it go. But he spoke a little, alayhi salatu wasalam. It was very clear, it was very focused, it was purposeful, only a number of words. In another hadith, she'll say, رضي الله عنها, كان صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا تكلم بالكلام أعاده ثلاثا. If he spoke, he would repeat himself 3 times to make sure people memorize. وإذا سلم سلم ثلاثا. And he would give salam to people, he would repeat it 3 times, alayhi salatu wasalam, to make sure everyone heard and everyone felt targeted by what he was saying, alayhi salatu wasalam. Ma'bad, in the known hadith, describes his speech, and she says, إن صمت فعليه الوقار وإن تكلم سما وعلاه البهاء. When he was quiet, عليه الوقار, meaning you would feel his hayba. You would revere him, alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was quiet. And when he spoke, sama, he would elevate when he spoke. وعلاه البهاء, and his face would light up, alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was speaking, because he was passionate about what he had to say, عليه الصلاة والسلام. يقول أبو الدرداء في الحديث عند أبي داود قال ما كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم يتكلم إلا وهو متبسم أو إلا متبسما. He never spoke عليه الصلاة والسلام except he had a big smile on his face عليه الصلاة والسلام when he was speaking and explaining things. In the hadith في الشمائل عند الترمذي, hadith that was narrated to us by Hind ibn Abi Halid, the long one, he describes the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. يقول كان صلى الله عليه وسلم طويل السكت. He would be quiet for long periods of time. لا يتكلم في غير حاجة. He'd only speak when there was a need for him to speak. يفتتح الكلام ويختتمه بسم الله تعالى أو بأشداقه. When he would start when he spoke, he would always say بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. He'd always start with the tasmiyah, and he would end it with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name. كلامه فصل لا فضول ولا تقصير. When he spoke just enough. It was clarity. He didn't speak too much and didn't speak too little. Meaning he didn't leave things unclear to the person who's listening, nor did he repeat him, keep on going on and on until the person got bored. Alayhi salatu wassalam. Alayhi salatu wassalam was soft spoken. When he spoke, there was a softness to the way he spoke, alayhi salatu wassalam, until he got on the mimbar. When he got on the mimbar, he would change, alayhi salatu wasalam. There was a persona change. It was like he got into character on the mimbar. قال فإذا على حديث عند أبي داود قال إذا صعد المنبر على صوته واحمر وجهه فكأنه منذر حرب يقول صبحكم ومساكم. When he got on the mimbar, alayhi salatu wasalam, his voice would rise. And his face would change color, turn red. And he would be speaking to us as if war was going to begin right after the khutbah. As saying, صَبَّحَكُمْ وَمَسَّاكُمْ, meaning your enemy is coming this morning or this evening. If you were with him, he was soft-spoken. He was very tender in the way he would approach things, spoke very little, very clear, would repeat 3 times, was always smiling, alayhi salatu wasalam. And then he got on the mimbar and that would change. And he spoke to people, alayhi salatu wasalam, with the language they understood. The hadith narrated by Imam Ahmad, that to him, that a group of people came and visited. And they had a specific dialect, a lahja, an accent in the way they spoke Arabic. So they're asking him whether it's okay to fast during travel. And the way they speak is that the alif lam at the beginning of any word, they replace it with a meme. So instead of saying هل من البر, they will say هل من البر. So the alif lam at the beginning of any التعريف, they would repeat it. قالوا هل من البر الصيام في مسافر وهل من البر الصيام في مسافر. That's how they would speak. So the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام would reply to them ليس من البر صيام في مسافر. So he would reply to them عليه الصلاة والسلام the same dialect that they had عليه الصلاة والسلام, because he knew. He actually knew the different accents of the Arab, which is where the qira'at in origin basically come from. And the final piece that I'll share with you is what he said on the day his son Ibrahim died. When he was sobbing, and the Sahaba saw him, and some of them weren't sure if crying was a sign of disobedience, and it wasn't obviously the sign of acceptance. It's just فقال ولا نقول إلا ما يرضي ربنا. In the lone hadith, he said, we will never say anything except that which pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's regarding how he spoke. How he moved عليه الصلاة والسلام. يقول يروى في الصحيحين عن أبي هريرة كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يمشي تكفؤا يتقلع كأنما ينحط من صبب عليه الصلاة والسلام. تكفؤا meaning he moved quickly. And when he walked with stride. There was a little bit of like he walked. You felt there was strength and power in his walk. It was like he was walking downhill always. He always felt that alayhi salatu was walking a little bit downhill when he was moving. وَكَانَ يَمْشِي هَوْنًا, and he would walk with humility and humbleness alayhi salatu wasalam. يَسُوقُ أَصْحَابَهُ يَقُولُ ذَرُوا ظَهْرِي لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ. When he walked alayhi salatu wasalam, he would make sure the Sahaba walked in front of him. And he would say, leave, my back is protected by the malaika. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. يقول أبو هريرة كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يمشي مشية هي أحسن المشيات وأكملها وأسرعها. He would walk, it's the most beautiful walk, it's the most perfected walk, and it was the quickest walk. فكان أسرعنا مشية. He was the quickest in terms of his walk عليه الصلاة والسلام. وإنا لنجهد أنفسنا وإنه لغير مكترث. And we're basically jogging, trying to keep up, and he's gliding عليه الصلاة والسلام. It's not bothering him at all. وكان يمشي حافيا ومتنعلا. He would walk عليه الصلاة والسلام. Sometimes he's wearing shoes, and sometimes he would walk with nothing. He would walk barefoot. وفي الحديث عند الإمام أحمد, and he walked عليه الصلاة والسلام في إحدى غزواته. He was walking to one of his غزوات, and he nicked his foot, and one of his toes was bleeding. فقال هل أنت إلا إصبع دميتي وفي سبيل الله ما لقيتي. And he would look at his toe as he would wrap it. What are you besides a toe that is bleeding, and it's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what you are going through. صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. وكان إذا التفت جميعا عليه الصلاة والسلام. Whenever he turned, he would turn with his torso. You wouldn't see him عليه الصلاة والسلام move just his neck to speak to somebody. Because in his mind, alayhi salatu wasalam, this is not the most respectful way to address someone. Because if you're only moving your neck, you're only giving a portion of your attention. So when he would move, or he would turn alayhi salatu wasalam in direction, he would turn with his torso so that his whole body was towards you when you were speaking to him alayhi salatu wasalam, out of adab in the way he was going to address you if you were speaking to him or asking him something alayhi salatu wasalam. وكان عليه الصلاة والسلام يركب الخيل والبغال والحمير. He rode عليه الصلاة والسلام horses and camels and mules and donkeys. وكان يركبها مسرجة تارة وعريا تارة. And sometimes he would put saddles, and sometimes he wouldn't عليه الصلاة والسلام. وكان يجلس القرفصاء وربما وضع رجليه على الأخرى. You would sit قرفصاء. قرفصاء is when you're sitting on the front part of your foot, and your thighs are on top of your your knees are folded, and your thighs are on top of your leg. So it's like you're just and your heel is upwards. It's high, it's not touching the ground. That's called قرفصاء. And the Prophet ﷺ would commonly sit that way. And he would sit mutarabbi', as we say today. Mutarabbi' meaning he would sit with one leg over the other, ﷺ. And some people say that it would go beyond that, meaning he would kind of bring one and he'd put it on top of the other, ﷺ, when he sat. And these just ways he would sit. وَكَانَ يَتَّكِئُ عَلَى وِسَادَةٍ وَرُبَّمَا اتَّكَأَ عَلَى يَمِينِهِ وَرُبَّمَا اتَّكَأَ عَلَى شِمَالِهِ. And he would recline عليه الصلاة والسلام on a pillow if he found one. And he would sometimes recline on his right, and he would sometimes recline on his left. وَكَانَ يَجْلِسُ عَلَى الْبِسَاطِ وَعَلَى الْأَرْضِ وَعَلَى الْحَصِيرِ. And he would sit on the ground with nothing under him. And he would sit on a carpet, and he would sit on a hasir عليه الصلاة والسلام. He would do all of these things he would do عليه الصلاة والسلام without any haraj. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. The point of all of this is the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam was described in detail in how he did things. And we're going to go through over the next few mornings and how the Sahaba described his daily functions. Just the daily functions. How he spoke and how he moved. They watched him alayhi salatu wasalam, how he moved himself, how he would walk, how he would sit, how he would ride a horse, how he would ride a donkey, how he would recline, وَكَانَ يَسْتَلْقِي عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ. Sometimes he would lie down, fully all over. فَكَانَ إِذَا اسْتَلْقَى عَلَى يَمِينِهِ جَعَلَ يَدَهُ تَحْتَ رَأْسِهِ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ. If he lay down, he would lie down on his right side most of the time, and he would put his hand under his head. وَتَحْتَ يَدِهِ نَعْلُهُ. And sometimes under his hand he would put his shoes, alayhi salatu wasalam, or his, so he'd fall asleep. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. يصف, and I'll do this in Arabic just because I don't know how to do it in English. يصف القاضي عياض في الشفا يقول: وأما فصاحة اللسان وبلاغة القول فكان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من ذلك بالمحل الأفضل والموضع الذي لا يجهل، سلاسة طبع وإيجاز مقطع وصحة معان وفصاحة قول. أوتي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم جوامع الكلم وخص ببدائع الحكم وعلم ألسنة العرب، فكان يكلم كل أمة بلغتها ويحاورها ببلاغتها ويجاريها في منزع فصاحتها صلى الله عليه وسلم. When it came to the way he spoke, alayhi salatu wasalam, he had fasaha, he had articulation, and he had clarity. When he spoke, it was very concise, it was summarized, it was clear, it was purposeful. There was no extra words that were not needed, nor did he speak in a way that left ambiguity, alayhi salatu wasalam. It flowed from him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He did not stutter. He did not have to repeat himself because it wasn't clear, alayhi salatu wasalam. He was given jawami al-kalim. Jawami al-kalim means you're able to say a lot with very few words. And with very few words, which is what we do when we want to explain a hadith. He says 5 words, it takes me 5 days to explain just what he meant by those 5 words, alayhi salatu wasalam, because he was able to. And he had all the attributes of wisdom in what he had to say, alayhi salatu wasalam. And he knew the dialect and accent of every nation around him, alayhi salatu wasalam. So when he spoke to them in a way they understood, and he challenged them in the essence or in the substance of their articulation, alayhi salatu wasalam, until they submitted to him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And this is how he is described, alayhi salatu wasalam, by the Sahaba, in terms of how he spoke and how he moved. I hope that was a benefit to you. هذا هو حبيبكم صلوا عليه صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خيرا. بارك الله فيكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.